2001. And for many years, we have been doing rehabs and rentals, buying foreclosures, that type of thing. We buy notes from banks and hedge funds, mortgage companies, and we do that at major discounts. Our goal is to help the mortgage holder in these notes to stay in their homes. VCI works with investors throughout the United States, and we help those investors to get a better rate of return on their investments through their self-directed IRAs and 401ks.
Good stuff, Doug. Well, I'll just throw in real quick that one of the reasons we got into this is we pivoted off rehabbing and having tenants and toilets. And so we're liquidating all our homes for rentals, and we're moving strictly to note business. And it's a good play. I'm sure all you folks out there who've got rentals know what we're talking about.
Or a lot of you that are on here to learn about what we are talking about, because you are tired of dealing with rehabs and also putting people in as tenants and having to fix everything. With mortgage notes, you don't have to fix anything. You just take the money in each month when it comes in. We're kind of like mailbox money. A little bit about Greg and I and who we are. My name is Doug Svensson. I've been in real estate since 2001. I've been married to my beautiful wife since 2004, and we have been together since 1996. We enjoy cooking, movies, concerts, and spending time with each other. And we reside in Wauconda, Illinois. It's a northwest suburb of Chicago, Illinois.
I've been in real estate as well for quite a long time. I'm a retired stock options trader, commercial diver, I'm a pilot, and I do a lot of historic salvage. Massive structures, take them down and salvage all the materials. Like everybody else, I like movies and concerts, but I also like to fly. I'm a pilot, and I dig old Buicks. I live in the upstate of South Carolina, and it truly is the best kept secret in the nation.
It is beautiful out there. Our goal is to help investors realize that they can be the bank and not have to deal with toilets and tenants, what we had touched on a little bit ago. We want to help and educate investors on a better way of investing. And we're going to share a few deals that we have here today and that we've done, and we are currently working on. What is a performing note? When you buy a house, it's usually purchased with a bank or a mortgage company, and that is a note that you sign over as a promissory note with the bank. Monthly payments are made consistently on principal and interest, and the loan is usually around 30 years as a term, and the payments are made till the end of the term. That, in a nutshell, is a performing note.
A real difference from a person who owns a home and a person who rents a home. They're putting that money in every month on their mortgage, and they're getting equity, and they're building equity. But a renter, he's just throwing the money out the window, basic. But the big difference is the renter will take off on you in a moment's notice, but the mortgage person, they've got skin in the game, and they want to stay.
When you're putting in a good 10% or whatever that might be, when you're signing over those papers to the bank, you have more of an appreciation that it's your home, and that is a big difference. And that's the whole part of the note business, is that these people are there not as renters, but they're there is it's their one of the biggest things you do in your life is obviously get married, and another one is purchasing your first home. So you take pride in that, and that's why we believe that being the bank and being in the note business can be so much better for an investor than having to deal with the total things that you have to deal with hassle. Thank you, of tenants. And what is a non-performing note? When a homeowner fails to pay the mortgage for 90 days, it becomes a non-performing note or NPN. Sorry about the non-perming, but you get the gist.
He was having a bad hair day.
Yeah, you don't want a non-perming. When a non-performing note is non-performing, it is considered a default and is in non-accrual state. At about 120 days, a bank will typically have to, by law, make a move to liquidate the non-performing note and possibly take it to foreclosure or sell to a firm such as ours, Viking Capital Investments, at a discount. This is a non-performing note.
I'll just add that a lot of times it's much easier for a bank just to blow out the note than to take it to foreclosure. They don't get the lawyers involved. Even if they've got their own lawyers on staff, it's a chunk of money that they won't have to spend. Typically, these notes have been held for enough years where they've already made their profit. So they let this stuff go, and because of the price points of the homes, which are typically lower, under $100,000 typically, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to worry about foreclosing when they can just hand off the note.
Another thing with the banks is that they're regulated by the government. So sometimes they have to make decisions on a note where they might have to sell it to stay in compliance with the government. When VCI buys a non-performing note, we have 3 exit strategies, which we talked about a bit here. One is to modify the loan and help the borrowers stay in their homes. That's our number one priority. We want to keep the people in the homes. We don't want to take it from them. Again, they've put in some heart and soul into the property, so we want to keep them in there if possible. Some of the people have left the property already, and they're nowhere to be found. Sometimes we have to do some skip tracing and things like that. And when we do find them, a lot of times they'll give us a deed in lieu, where the borrower signs over the deed of the property to us. And the last but not least is to take the property to foreclosure, which we'd rather not do, but sometimes they're very unresponsive, and that is what we need to do.
And what I'll add on that one is typically those 3 different strategies are broken up in almost equal thirds. A third of the time you're going to modify, a third of the time you'll get a deed in lieu, and a third of the time you'll have to foreclose.
And here we're looking at one of the examples. We put down 3 examples of those 3 exit strategies that we do. And we wanted to do it this way just to make this webinar simple and to the point. And this is our first one. This is Henry Street, and this is Lake Station, Indiana. And this one is a modification. It's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and about 1,330 square feet. It's a Chapter 13. And that's a 6 monthly payment plan. Now, a lot of investors, when they see Chapter 13, they go, oh man, I don't want any part of that. It's actually a good thing because they're put on a monthly payment plan to get back to where they need to keep the home. A lot of times they don't want the things taken away from them. Again, they've got equity in the home, so they don't want to lose it. This one happens to be a 6-month payment plan. The payments were originally, I believe, about $430. The payment plan with the Chapter 13 right now is $400, and that's a 6-month plan that they must abide to. And this, I believe, is starting off here in the beginning of June, I believe. The rents in the area, here's why he wants to save it, $850 a month for rent. Our purchase price on this is $25,000. And the worth on it is about 50 to 60K. So we're buying that at about 50 cents on the dollar.
Well, we'll have at the end of this, we'll have very nice yield. And in our future webinars, we'll actually add what those yield rates are projected to be. But they're very nice, typically in excess of 25%.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely 25%. And that's what we usually try to stay at, 24 to 25% at least. And sometimes better, sometimes less, but most of the time that's what we're at or better. Example 2 here is DeSoto Street, and this is Calhoun Falls, South Carolina. And this one's a deed in lieu. They actually left the property, and we have had some contact with them that they just don't want to get back. They don't want any part of it. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,430 square foot, and it's a double wide. And it's in pretty darn good shape.
Yeah, I drove out there, and I don't live too far from this area in South Carolina, and the house is in great condition. And it's one of those areas where you wouldn't think that there'd be a big demand for these homes, but there really are. They're in kind of a rural setting, but you can see if you've got a value down at the bottom there from 45 to 50K, and we've picked it up for 20. And these worth numbers, we're not making these up. We're getting these from local realtors who tell us what they should go for. So you've got a real nice package there where people just for personal reasons had to take off. We get a deed in lieu, and then we'll get a buyer for it, and off she goes.
Yeah, and the purchase price, that's pretty much around where it's going to be. Sometimes you have servicing fees and lawyers' fees and things like that. Another thing that I think is pretty important to let people know is that every state's different on their laws and their foreclosure process. And that's something else we can get into at another webinar. But every state is different. Like Illinois is like a couple of years. Well, it's about 18 months. And New York's like 3 years. And then Texas is like, I think 30, what is it, Greg, 30 or 60 days?
Yeah, it's not a long time, and that's why Texas is so very competitive to get those notes, whereas in the Carolinas and other places, it's a little more stretched out, but the courts in those states understand that, if the person's just ducking you, then they're going to judge against the owner and the bank will take it. So it's a fair process, but some states are a lot longer. That's why we stay out of some states. New York we stay out of. But Illinois is a place where a lot of people don't really think that's a good place, but really, if you really analyze the note, it could be a great place. So you just got to really do your due diligence, and that's where we come in.
And Greg's in South Carolina, and I'm in Illinois, so definitely I look at the Illinois stuff very closely. I know a lot of you out there have heard to stay away from Cook County. Don't disagree. But we have some really nice areas. Greg is from here, and we do have some really nice areas in Illinois that are very sought after. So our purchase on this was 20K. I believe that we wouldn't have to put more than $5,000 into this, and we could do a lease option on this or resell it for 45 to 50. And speaking of Illinois, this one is only, this is about 20 minutes from me. I took the picture. It is Queensbury Court, Hoffman Estates, Illinois. And this one we are taking to foreclosure. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, and it is a townhouse. The borrower has been unresponsive, and we took it to foreclosure in April. And we are going to definitely take it back, rehab, and resell. The purchase and the rehab on this should be around 70, 80. I put in 80 because you just don't know what's going to happen until they're out. And we are firmly believing that at the resale to a retail buyer would be about 135K.
So, and this is an example where it may have been a drawn-out, long process, but this individual who is the owner has worked the system so often that he's pretty well run out of luck. And we believe that the judges will rule in our favor because this guy does have a track record of being basically a crook. So that's kind of one of the things where, maybe it's a long-term, but if you have extenuating circumstances, you can look through that and see, yeah, there's a good chance they're going to compress this timeline.
Our attorney told us that they had already done a Chapter 13 twice. So if they were on a 6-month, they're just drawing it out until the end of the 6 months. How they did that twice, I'm not exactly sure, but they're definitely not going to do it a third time. Again, you try to do what you can to keep the homeowner in the property, but if you can't, then you got to take it to the extremes. And that's basically what we have there is the 3 that we do: the foreclosure, the deed in lieu, and the modification.
Another thing to note, and this is a big discussion. from a business standpoint, there's all kinds of nuances, and you can make money in lots of different ways. And one way that's real interesting is you could buy this note, get it reperforming, and then the buyer can go out and refi because they can get it maybe at a lower rate. And when they do that, they pay you off. So if they've paid you payments and then paid you off, let's say they did that in under a year, all of a sudden your yields go from, on an annualized basis, your yields go from great to really crazy great. So it's interesting to think about the numbers and time and, you know, the value of money on a time. I can ramble on, but there's all kinds of different ways these deals can go, and rarely, if ever, do you lose money on them. So it's a pretty good business to be in.
Yeah, and that's a good point because you can get that payoff. You got somebody paying. This one, I think he was paying about $1,000 or $1,100 a month. So you got somebody paying you $1,100 a month, and then the next thing you know, you get a big paycheck because they paid it off and remodified or got a new mortgage. There's a ton of these deals throughout the United States. Greg had brought it up about us looking in Illinois and South Carolina. Just to let you know, what we do is we are basically farming North Carolina, South Carolina, Indiana, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois,
Tennessee, Georgia. You know, we'll look anywhere really if it's a big deal, but we have core areas that we could get to quick and easy and have networks of realtors and house hunters and different things. So sometimes it's best to target an area and go after those, but we look at anything, anytime.
And a lot of these states that we look in have something that's called hardest hit funds, which can actually help the mortgager to get funding from the government to help them get back on track or to help even in sale of the property.
Very true, very true. It's a program that has limited resources, but in some states where they've exhausted the resources, money's all gone, but in other states they're not using it. So that's another avenue. It's another one of those bullet points we could be talking about.
So that's short and sweet for us tonight. Sorry about the delay in that, but we are, again, Viking Capital Investments. I did want to do a shout out to the people that are in my new meetup group. It is called Illinois Non-Performing Note Meetup Group. So if anybody wants to join that, you can go to meetup.com and we're in there.
Who came up with that name?
I did. Simple and to the point. Again, I'm Doug Svensson. And
I'm Greg Svensson.
And we are Viking Capital Investments, LLC.com. You can find us there. You could probably reach me a little bit quicker. So I'm Doug at Viking Capital Investments, LLC.com. And that's our 800 number. And you connect with both Greg and I on LinkedIn. And that is our contact information. So that's it for us tonight.
Well, it's on Facebook too, so leave a comment, leave a like if you like.
Yep, I forgot to put Facebook. We're on there as well. But we will have something coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We'll have some more property, or some more notes that we will be able to show you and what we do. And if anybody's interested in working with us or interested in what we do, please give us a shout out and we'll give you a call back, or you can reach us on an email, and any way you want, we'll give you more information. So for Greg and DJ and myself, we're signing off, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.